All
All
right,
right.
Dennis, take it away.
Yes, I managed to lose my notes. Okay. Well, let me get this. Okay. Good afternoon and Happy New Year. I'm Dennis Galucki, and welcome to the 596th Imagine Greater Buffalo program and our 612th, I believe, 217th Imagine Buffalo YouTube production, all hosted by our wonderful Buffalo and Erie County Public Library, Buffalo's original cultural center. Thanks for joining us today. This program is created by the Center for the Study of Art, Architecture, History, and Nature, and ImagineLifelongLearning.com. Now, before we get started, just a little housekeeping. Everyone watching will be muted and your video turned off. If you have a question or comment, please type it into the chat box and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation as time allows. Now, we are recording this program so you can watch it again later on the Central Library's Facebook page and YouTube channels. And please, we hope you share the link with others. On to our featured speakers to begin 2026. Joining us today are Tanya Staples and Aaron Lowinger from Say Yes Buffalo, where Tanya is the community school director and Aaron is the director of communications. They're here to discuss the Buffalo Public School Community School Initiative. It's a fascinating program, and we all should hear more about it. And that's why we've invited these two folks to tell us more. So, Tanya and Aaron, please start us off by telling us a little about yourselves and your work. Take it away.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Dennis, for the invitation to attend today. We are extremely delighted to talk about the work that Say Yes has been doing in this community. Happy New Year's to everyone as well. My name is Tanya Staples, and I'm Senior Director of Community Schools with Say Yes Buffalo. I've been a part of the Say Yes team for almost 10 years now. And I came into the organization specifically to work with our strategic partner, Buffalo Public Schools, to develop and implement the community schools strategy within the Buffalo community. Aaron?
Thanks, Tanya, and thank you, Dennis, and our friends at the Erie County Library. I am Aaron Lowinger, Director of Communications, which means that I'm primarily responsible for advocating for and letting the community know about the dozen or so program areas and services that Say Yes Buffalo provides the Buffalo community and the greater Western New York community. We've recently expanded our efforts into Niagara Falls. So, in a nutshell, what we do, we're a Promise Scholarship program. That's how we started to offer every graduate of public and charter schools in Buffalo with full tuition scholarships in most cases to over 180 different colleges and universities, participating colleges and universities in our compact. But we know that no, we know that that's often not. We wanted to make sure that we were offering that scholarship, extending that opportunity to students who wouldn't normally enter the college track. We wanted to make sure we were filling in as many gaps as possible so that we had more students participating in that scholarship. So along the way, we've added a number of other programs, and the community schools program is chief among them in trying to bring more education, bring more educational resources to the community. And we're going to hear a lot more about that in the coming minutes.
Great.
Great. So, well, Tanya, who's going to begin this presentation then? Tanya, will you tell us more?
Yes, I'll
There you
definitely
go.
tell you more. All righty. So let's jump right into it.
Please
So, as
do.
I said earlier, the community schools strategy, and I have to emphasize the word strategy instead of program, because it is a program typically you think about, it's going to have a start and an end. And the strategy is just continuous. We started this work approximately 10 years ago and as a strategic partner with the Buffalo Public Schools. Buffalo Public Schools were really looking at opportunities to engage and reestablish trust with students and with families. So, as part of the bargain at that time with the families and students, it was about having the schools open and accessible to community. Schools in the earlier days before this, schools were closing at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. There were no activities on Saturdays. And in most of our communities, they really lack community centers for our students and families to partake in social recreational activities. So the district started really looking at the communities by which the students were residing and thinking, how do we re-engage our families? How do we have resources available across the district so that families have choice and opportunities and things that they can participate in? So they began the strategy around community schools. We started out with 13 schools, and now the district has expanded and scaled up to 22 schools located throughout the city of Buffalo. Saturday, it's more than just the Saturday academies. It's about equity. It's about leveling the playing field. It's about accessibility for students. So when we think about how do we engage students academically, how do we increase academic performance, how do we increase attendance, and also how do we get more families, guardians, parents, grandparents engaged and involved in the work that's happening with their students within the school district. So, a part of the strategy was reestablishing relationships. Navigators, we call them community school navigators. They are located within each of the schools within BPS, and they are working with the administrators, with the school teams, with other community-based partners and organizations throughout the city of Buffalo, and they're working with the students and the families. So throughout the week, it's what resources and supports could our community school navigators leverage and lend to help, again, academic performance, attendance, and behavioral kinds of things as the school deems. So the relationships. This is very relational. This is not a transactional kind of program. It is one whereby relationships are really, really key. And the work that happens is not work that happens in isolation. It takes the entire community, the entire village. So thinking about what is the vision that the administrator has for that building? What are the goals and objectives that the administrator has? And how can, through this strategy, the community school navigator help the administrator to fulfill that particular objective? What are the goals? What are the promises that are being made to families? What are the services and opportunities that the principal, the administrator would like to bring in? And how does the community school navigator, again, help to facilitate that with a lot of partners and providers? So starting off, the Saturday academies, they are open. There's always a school open and available each Saturday, absent long holidays and weekends and looking at the summer programs, but we still have a summer activity. The community school strategy is year round. It operates in the schools from October through May in terms of the academies, but the strategy itself is from September through August. So the navigators are there, they're working with the administrators, with the teams, they're planning Saturday Academy programs that consist of health and wellness, academic activities, social emotional, nutrition, recreation, STEAM programs that are a part of what takes place at a Saturday. And again, I want to just say it is brought in based on things that are happening throughout the school week. So a lot of the work that happens in terms of community schools, it happens throughout the school week, and then there's some culminating activities that happens on the weekends. So the relationships are built and established. Families are connecting with teachers and principals on the weekends. They're having different kinds of conversations. The teachers and the principals are getting to know the families a little bit better because during the school week, everybody is focused on the things that have to take place. Kids attending classes, the administrators having the work that they need to do to continue to move their school along. But on Saturdays, it's more of a relaxed environment. Um, Families can identify and select activities that they would like to participate in. And there's just some really novel kinds of programs that take place on Saturdays. So there may be vendors that come in on a Saturday that sometimes the families don't have that opportunity to be able to participate with. For instance, some of the schools have offered ballet. They've offered tap and jazz. They've had taekwondo. There have been previously some swimming classes. There's soccer programs that might happen in a school. One school, they had a portable planetarium. So these are things that you just don't necessarily see happening as often as you would like. And it provides, again, when you think about equity, access, and exposure, that the children have opportunity to engage in things that they may have not previously had an opportunity to do. And again, that's because of understanding what are the goals and objectives that the schools have set up that they are trying to achieve? What are the things that the students and the families are interested in participating? How are we all working towards how does this impact education? How does it impact attendance? And how does it impact behavior? So there's just a lot of opportunities for the students. Colleges and universities are a part of the strategy. And the strategy is ever evolving. The feedback that we receive is just so critically important. The feedback that comes from the school teams, that comes from community teams, it just really helps to shape and mold the kinds of activities that happen within a Saturday Academy program. Aaron, you want to add anything?
Yeah, thanks. I would just like to add, just broadly, so everyone understands that these Saturday academies are open to everyone in the public. They are not specific to a certain school's enrolled student body. They're open for everyone, and there are each excuse me, each community school has that one Saturday academy every month, but they're scheduled in a way such that there every weekend there are Saturday academies that do occur, and anyone is welcome to attend those. And we often have families who hop around to make sure that their family attends a Saturday academy every weekend because it becomes a part of their family's activity structure. And you know, then and the programs and services and activities are for all ages. So you don't have to have a child enrolled in that school. You don't even have to necessarily have a child. We have folks coming in to access food pantry resources, in addition to multiple other community resource activities and programs as well.
Thanks. I'm glad you said that. And everything is free. Everything is free. And so, because of the proximity of the schools and the number of schools that are open on a Saturday, it addresses sometimes for families the transportation barrier. So as Aaron indicated, you don't have to be a student attending that particular school to attend that Saturday Academy. They are in walking distance of most communities, and so the time span is usually a 3-hour time span. They begin with breakfast and they end with lunch, a hot breakfast and a hot lunch. And then there's about 2 hours of activity taking place. And again, there's 15, 20 different activities that are ongoing at the academy. So you can pick and choose the kinds of things that you would like to participate in. And the slogan was, "We're here for you, we're open to everyone." And so, it's just amazing to see the different generations that are participating from the little ones all the way to senior citizens, because there's always an activity that families can participate in. And what's also real interesting is that the things that families learn, they can take home and they can continue those conversations. They may continue the activity that was discussed. They may continue with the make and take. There may be a great recipe that the family learns when they're at the academy that then they can take and try out at home. All of the materials and supplies that are needed for the activities happening at the Saturday program are provided to the families at no cost. And we try to be, for each community, the services and activities are very unique for that particular community. So you're not necessarily going to see the same things happening. It's not a cookie cutter approach. It's really approach based on, again, the goals and objectives of that school, of that community, and the things that have been identified by families. And just getting the partners and providers together. The creativity that takes place is totally amazing.
Hey, Tanya, if you could also describe, I know we talked a lot about Saturday academies, maybe just describe the what some of the and it's different in every building, but
Mhm.
some of the kinds of things navigators are doing on a day-to-day basis in their school communities, just to show what else is going on.
Oh, great. So our navigators, like I said earlier, they are a part of the fabric and fiber of the school. And so again, it's very relational, and they want to be able to know all of the students and all of the parents and the teachers and the school teams that are there. But the navigators also hold mentoring groups and sessions. So they may have a girls group, a boys group. It may be a group that's focused on self-esteem. It might be a group that wants to talk about what's going on in our environment, right? So they host different mentoring groups. They have lunch bunches activities where they come into the cafeteria and they're talking and they're connecting with students. A lot of the students are trying to, I'll say, school our team on what the latest trends are, what's the latest verbiage that's being used. So as our teams are communicating with them, that they're saying the right words in the sentences. But it's about, again, if there's a child experiencing some difficulty with attendance, may need to have additional support system. They may act as a check-in, check-out person with that child, but they're working very closely. And I have to say this, they work very closely with the school teams. So it's not something that is outside of that we take on, but it's something that's being recommended by an SST team member. It might be recommended by the principal that this child might need some extra support, some extra coaching just to help to get them through the day. But they do act as resources. It might be that you identify a family that needs a coat or a child may need school supplies. So how do we help families to access the additional resources? We also work with our other Say Yes team members that are located in a building. So we have family support specialists and we also have health home specialists that are in buildings. And in some of the buildings, we have breaking barriers, boys and men of color. So again, depending upon the resource team within the school and the additional resources that Say Yes also brings, the navigators help to leverage those supports inside the school building as well as supports outside. So while we have Saturday Academy that a lot of program providers come into, there might be on occasion that a program pushes into the building during the school week that the navigator also helps to facilitate. The schools, the community schools have 4 quarterly evening activities that they offer. And it could be a math night. It could be, again, a Saturday Academy-esque kind of activity. It can be a teacher-parent conference thing that the navigator may be supporting the principals and the school teams to facilitate.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Boy, that is a great overview, and I, I'm let's start at the beginning. First of all, you're not just a program overlaying the Buffalo public schools. What I'm hearing is you're woven right into those schools through these navigators and awareness of kids. Starting point for me would be to say, are there regulars that show up uh, often and many that just aren't taking advantage of the program? How has it played out? And over what, the last couple of years you've had this, or how far back do you go?
So 2016
Wow.
was the launch of the community school strategy. 2016 we started, and we have between probably 30-40% retention in terms of attendance and those that are coming. So families typically, once they get started, they continue to come. They continue because, again, it's a family centered environment, family centered. So you have parents, adults, and guardians that are accompanying their children. And there's just a plethora of activities that are taking place. Like anything, we compete against other activities that are happening in a community on any given Saturday. So we continue to push out and do outreach in the community. When the weather permits, our navigators are doing some door-to-door kind of advertisement. We have things that are going out through the schools, through the different community, our different networks, our vendors that come in and provide services. They're also helping to do outreach. But it continues to grow. It's continuing to grow year over year.
Well, you must have different yardsticks. It's a strategy, as you point out. So to measure the strategy's effectiveness and whatnot, would school? I see one of the questions coming in from Bob was a question of attendance. Do you notice kids that are attending this are more likely to be attending daily school?
I think we've seen incremental change over the years. I think we've seen incremental change. Again, it's about the level of engagement and involvement of
Mm-hmm.
families and the relationship that they have with the schools and the relationship that they have with the navigators there. So that's a part of that work that the navigator is doing throughout the school week is that relationship building, and we all have followers, right? So when people know that certain folks are going to be in attendance, we have people that are going to come out because of the activity. So that's why talking with the families about the level of interest and what they want to see more or less of, because there's maybe some things that this wasn't quite what I was interested in. But I want to see more of this. So how do we identify the vendor, the teacher, the community partner that can come out and provide the kind of service that they're really interested in? And then how do we build this offering for them? And recognizing that because of there's one Saturday Academy per month per school, that I might not go to this school, but I'm gonna go to another school. So I'm like I'll say a community school groupie, because I'm going to follow a particular activity where it might be if it's showing up multiple times in other schools. So, but the district, they measure outcomes And they hold us accountable to the kinds of things that we're responsible for as a part of the partnership. And yeah, so we have to ensure that, we're meeting the targets and we're looking at attendance, academics, leadership. There were initially 14 different metrics that this kind of strategy could touch that could really be very, very impactful. Things like building leadership skills with students. How do we create young leaders? And we do have in some of our schools where the navigator will work with a group of students to help to prepare for, to help facilitate that we've had some young students to facilitate on occasion different workshops to get the young people involved in this kind of thing. How do we change culture and climate of buildings, right? So just looking at not only the kind of real tangible kinds of things, but what other soft skills or soft outcomes could be achieved as a result of this particular strategy.
Mhm. Hannah, any other questions, or Hazen, whoever's?
Yeah, I have a question that came in through the chat, but I just wanted to say thank you both for speaking about this. I've taught in the Saturday Academies, representing Stitch Buffalo mainly at
Yes.
Lafayette, but I've bounced around to a few others, and some of the things you're talking about, it's really, even as an instructor, it's really felt the kind of the equity, accessibility, and like the community development that is happening there, and seeing, like what you said, groupies, like seeing people who would come to other schools than the one they normally attend. I thought that was a very, I don't know, special and unique thing, that the whole community, like the whole city is part of this community. It's not just your school.
Right.
Was really cool. So one question that I had in the chat was about programs or activities that might, I think, have some sort of like skill development. Is there um, is there like a best time of the year for newcomers to attend a Saturday Academy, or can you kind of hop right in whenever?
Hop right in. There's a calendar that's published on Buffalo Public Schools website. Um, you can contact a specific school. You can contact Say Yes, and we will get a calendar out to families. But we want people to come in. We want you to come in during the Saturday Academies operate between October and May. Over the summer, we have, I think, it's 17 schools that have community gardens, or whether it's a vegetable garden or it's a flower garden, but they have some kind of summer activity that happens. And there's programming typically on Tuesdays and Thursdays between 10 and 12 at those school locations. And that's a way to stay connected with the community. So it's not that school ends or the Saturday Academy ends in May, school ends in June, and then there's no other activities till September, October. But we want to have families engaged throughout the entire time. And even then, we might have yoga, Tai Chi. They're at Lafayette. I know one year there was this big science experiment, science fair that was happening on the lawn over at Lafayette. But they're also growing vegetables and they're having flowers, and there's an opportunity for families to come and pick the produce there. There's opportunity to help at harvesting time, right? So there are different skills that are taught based on the vendor that comes in. And one of the things that the district has really encouraged this year is that for each activity, whether it's seen as a recreational or an academic activity, but there is a learning link to it. So the family can come in, they can use their phone, they can scan the QR code, and on that QR code, there may be more information and educational information, tidbits, fun facts, something that the family is also learning. So learning can happen in a structured classroom, sitting down with a teacher in front of you, and it can happen through technology by viewing a QR code and learning a fun fact. So just all the different ways that we can infuse education and academics, we're trying to do that. And again, it's a year-round strategy as opposed to just a Saturday program.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No.
I don't
So,
have any other questions in the chat.
okay. If you had to rank the age of the kids that you are serving, would you guess there's more elementary schools with parents, middle school with parents, high school? Which one do you think you're serving? And I have a reason for asking, in the sense that I've been working with Aaron on a fourth grade project that happens to be on the fourth Saturday. You're on Saturday. I thought the idea that there's 14 different cultural organizations around arts, history, Martin House, architecture, that sort of thing, available to families, and it's free for Buffalo residents. The two programs might connect as Saturday. So I'm curious, are fourth graders few and far between, or are they a potential large portion of your Saturday efforts?
That's a tough question. That is a tough question because we get the range. We get the range, but we know, that it depends on the Saturday, depends on the activity, depends on the school. But you will see at our Saturday academies from littles to seniors at all academies, whether it's even at a high school. So it looks like a community center. But I think we're picking up that second, third, fourth, eighth grade, seventh, eighth grade. We're picking up a lot of those students primarily in our elementary. And that's because we have 15 pre-K 8 schools and 7 high schools that we're working with.
Well, and part of the reason is you want some measurements, I'm sure, of saying, well, is this process, the strategy working relative to your original mission, which is providing scholarships to those who want them? And so you must keep track of, you keep track of who's attending and what zip codes they live in and things of that sort, just to make sure you're connecting with your original purpose of making sure kids get out of the whole system with the degrees that they're capable of reaching their full potential, I would think.
Yes. We're tracking all of that. We're tracking all of that.
That's excellent news.
We're tracking, yes. Yeah.
Well, it's a program you said that goes back a little over 10 years now.
Yeah, 2016.
And it's a wonderful one. Is it unique to Buffalo, or are you modeling what many other cities are doing? That's my last question.
So the community school strategy is across the country. I think our model is very unique because we offer Saturday academies. Most strategies, and we offer them continuously. Most strategies are just offering school-based and after-school programs. We're offering the Saturday and we're offering the evening program. So that's what really sets us apart from other communities across the country.
Nice to have something original coming out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we've used this moment to highlight it. So Tanya, Aaron, thank you very much for being with us today and bringing us up to date with a program that again, doing the best you can to get the most well-being and wellness for our students and their family members. That's the beautiful connection. Oh, and also where they can walk to it. That's a fascinating point. So they're not relying on a car that may or may not be in the family or a distance that prohibits it. So thank you for a great idea. Thank you for a great idea. All right, folks, thank you. Thank you both. And thanks for joining us today. We hope you'll be with us next week as we continue on our journey in 2026. We'll be here next Tuesday, the 13th. We'll be joined by Pastor George F. Nicholas. He is the CEO of the Buffalo Center for Health Equity. I've chatted with him more than a few times, and it's a fascinating organization and one that I think folks in Buffalo should be more aware of and will be if you tune in next week. So I'm Dennis Galucki. Be well and good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you both so much.
Take care.